But let's get an interview now with somebody who is, and that is Liam Shorte from SONAS Wealth. But Liam, this has been very controversial. July 1 approaching. Tell us how people can try and minimise any tax impact if they're lucky enough to have that problem of a $3 million super balance.
Look, the main thing to understand is you don't have to do much right now. You've got to the 1st of July 2026 if the date's not extended. But some of the things you can be doing is trying to get the money across from somebody with a high balance, put it across to their partners, or what we're doing now with a lot of older people is taking it out of the older family member's name and recontributing it for their children, or in some cases their grandchildren. And you can imagine if you put 100,000 in super at 20 for a child, by the time they get to 67, they're going to be looking at a very comfortable retirement. One of the things, the other thing they can do is make sure they get correct, proper valuations as of 30th of June that reflect the true value of their assets. For example, if there's a property where they've been used to underquoting taking the low end of the value, you don't want to do that now, because when this Division 296 comes in, if there's a big growth next year, that's when the tax is going to hit you if your balances are over 3 million. So just try and look and understand how the tax is going to work. And we've tried to show people, in most cases, it's often the best option will be to leave your money in super because the tax is still not that bad. So I did a couple of examples
where let's get those up. Have we got them? There we go.
Yeah. So this was a case where a fund did really well, had 3.5 million at the start of the year, had about a 40% gain for the year, but took some money out trying to get below the 3 million, but didn't succeed. Now, in this case, their tax, now bearing in mind it's a 40% increase, of $1.2 million growth in the fund. The Division 296 tax is only 86,916. So on a 1.2 million growth, I think most people would trade off that's not a bad idea to pay that. If you had that sort of growth outside your own personal name, you'd be up in the 47% tax bracket. So on 1.2 million, you're easily going to be looking at $500,000 to $600,000 of tax.
That is a lot.
Yeah. So super will still be the most attractive in that instance. If you can bring up the second example, this is one where people will be hit. It's where people have a very volatile asset, or you don't think farming would be volatile, but I've seen cases where in a drought, a farm has been valued at 2.4 million. We've seen a really good rain period and things went really well, and it's gone up to 6 million. But the following year, the drought has started again, and all the confidence was lost, and it was actually sold for 4.2. So this is an example, and we're also seeing this with this fear with crypto investors who've made a lot of money because they know Bitcoin can go up, but they know it can also come down the next year. So in this case, what we have is a situation where the fund has actually doubled over the year. So the original investment has gone up, and there's been plenty of growth, but what's happened is they haven't been able to take any money out. So basically, the return, the growth percentage that is taxable is 56.04. So it's only the growth on the amount above 3 million. So in this case, the tax would be 426,000. Now imagine if you've got a farm that's suddenly gone from being worth 6 million back down to 4 million, and you've suddenly got to come up with 426,000. You can't just sell off the farm or part of the farm. You really need to understand that if you've got a big lumpy asset or a liquid asset in your self-managed super fund, you need to be building up your cash reserves to pay this tax. Otherwise, you need to be looking at an alternative solution for maybe moving some of that farm outside into part ownership or a family trust, and looking for those strategies. But really, we've got to wait till final legislation comes through before we can make big changes.
All right, so I just am asking for a friend, but that calculator that you've got, the Div 296 tax calculator, where can our viewers find that, or is that proprietary, Liam?
No, if you go to my website, sonaswealth.com.au, you can see the spelling in the background there. There's a Division 296 tab, and I've got a full list of questions of everything you'd want to know about Division 296. And there's a link to that calculator, which is kindly being provided by SMSF Alliance. And people can just play around themselves with it and see, how the tax will affect them. I really think that once people have gone through it, it's not such a scary thing, and they can then start planning.
Yeah. So Liam, I'm asking also for a friend, for people that may not have $3 million in super, say they decided to become journalists, their super's going up though on the 1st of July, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's.
So the super guarantee rate is going up to 12% from the 1st of July. So all I'm asking is people who have got salary sacrifice arrangements with their employers, just review it, because again, you're now going to get an extra 0.5% of your salary as super. So you just want to make sure that next year you don't go over the 30,000 limit. So for journalists, you'll have a lot of space, I think. But
thanks, Liam.
but it's just, I'm really trying to get people to use the system in volatile times like this, when people can't be sure what they're going to earn on their savings. Using it to get it into super, and for example, if you're on 70,000 a year, if you put 10,000 into super, you're immediately saving yourself 1,700 in tax. So you're not going to get that sort of guaranteed saving on your money anywhere. And if you do that year after year, you get the compounding effect of doing it. I like people to do more and more of it as they get from 55 onwards, when they can be certain that they'll be able to access their super around 60. Oh. So people have more confidence to put money away then.